my name is Chetan. I'm a chef by profession. My ambition was to be a automobile engineer, like bikes, like cars. I think it's just like any other kid growing up. Getting a better investor is a very, I would say, very important, but you really need to be lucky to find them. It becomes very important to also interview your investors. The trends, they come and go super quick. They won't take you if you don't have a one Michelin star background. You should have that clarity on that end. Try to keep your costs at low, but don't compromise on things that cannot be compromised on. Why I love this, what I do, is that the learning never stops. It's always changing. In your young days, try to go and learn with as many chefs as possible. You'll have to form your own style of cooking. You need to know that it's long working hours. The money's not fancy. You're there for a purpose, and the purpose is learning. Oh, I have a Michelin star. That does not happen. Now you have to prove it every single time that you deserved it.
Hello everyone, welcome back to Hospitality Diaries by Butlers, and I'm your host Shiv. Today we have a very special guest in house who have a very unique journey, I would say, slightly more unconventional, but it is important to understand from his journey and look out. Someone who has spent around 2 decades in hospitality, especially in culinary, has worked in 4 major culinary destinations and has a Michelin star under his belt. So please join me in welcoming Chef Chetan Shetty.
Okay, so my name is Chetan. I'm a chef by profession, but I haven't like this was not something that I had thought, or it just happened. I think that's how I can put it. Um, my ambition was to be a automobile engineer, like bikes, like cars. I think it's just like any other kid growing up. But then also I had a bit of love towards food. My dad used to run a catering business, a small canteen in Pune, and I would see him cook every day. And I think that had something like seeded a small bud in me. I had more liking towards paintings too. But I think food was something that I thought was very easy. It just came in a bit more natural, I would say, more calming. So I said, let's try this, and ended up in Gurdaspur. I was the first kid from my what do you call, community.
How did IHM Gurdaspur happen? And how was your first feeling when you were actually there in Punjab, in Gurdaspur?
Yeah, again, it's funny because this is not what I wanted. Going to a catering business was also not something that I like researched or anything like. No, that was not my plan. After 12th, I guess I was just trying to see what I would want to do, and my father's friend is just like any other, I think, friends of your community, or your father would tell you like, oh, cruise wale bahut paisa banate hain. They make a lot of money, and they're always traveling, they're always abroad, because that's what people see. Chefs going in, taking pictures in different part of the country, and I guess it's a different way people have a perception about it. Like they're just chilling, and I think that's what my father, he told my father, like, why don't you put him in catering business or catering school? And at that point, I think going with your father's decision is easier than to have a revolt against it. And I like, okay, let me try it. At least he won't be, later on down the line, he won't say that I did not listen to him. And I'm like, okay, let's do it. When I saw Gurdaspur, like, so at that point, the tallest building in Gurdaspur was 3 story. So you can imagine what place it was. Uh, yeah, but I think the first year I would go up on the rooftop and start crying about like, how did I end up at this place? That was my whole
Really?
first year. That was my whole first year trauma. But then it just started to mellow down, and then you understand like, oh, it's not that bad, because like your small road trip to have some snacks at a dhaba would end up being in Himachal Pradesh, because you were just like, okay, we have time, we have not
Exactly.
money, but like we were in the zone, so we would just end up in
Exactly.
Himachal. So that was a fun time. That was a really fun time. And the budget, like I was paying like 500 rupees a month for my room rent. It's like a fairy tale price if you look at it. It's $10 a month, $10 a month for your room rent is like crazy. But again, it just worked out so well. I think it shaped me for what I am. I think I have been very appreciative of how the whole curve came up, like my whole journey from Gurdaspur to Delhi to New York and all those things. Like, I think there's a much more better appreciation towards life when you look at it.
Your first move from
Mhm.
IHM was Old World Hospitality, right? It was your first practical move to the industry. So tell me
Yeah.
some of your previous feelings, experiences. How was it settling into a kitchen and finding your way out in actual world of culinary?
Yeah. So there is a thing in hotel management is like on your second year you have like 3 months of training period that you do. You go to different hotels, go to different departments of a hotel to understand what the front of the house is, what the back of the house is, and various other sections of the hotel. Uh, at that was where so I had my training done in Goa uh, during the peak season. I had never stepped in the kitchen, and they did not let me step in the kitchen because I was good at bartending at that point. Um, since they were short staffed, I was forced to learn everything super quick. And since I did not have any alcohol issues, just like being a normal kid growing up at that age, I was not very much fascinated towards alcohol. So like they would like trust me with it. Like, okay, he's not gonna be drunk at work, so he's good. And I would be doing this. So I never got a chance to go at and work in the kitchen to understand like, is it for me or is it not? How stressful it might be. But I think not getting that experience also I also was more curious about it now. Now it just drove me crazy. I need to get in over there. My first job was at Orville Hospitality in Delhi. This was at India Habitat Center. They had different menus over there. I started working at a diner called All American Diner. That was the diner food, pancakes, waffles, burgers, hot dogs, different types of hot dogs, and all those things. But I would say it felt boring at one point because I was just in that same loop doing the whole thing again and again. Luckily, got to work in some Mediterranean restaurant, and yeah, I think what helped at that Old Hospitality is like they had different cuisines at one space. So I
Exactly.
was so it helped for me to learn different cuisines and what would be my favorite cuisine to go with. And Indian Accent was a brand from the same ownership uh, of Orville Hospitality. So I think it just helped in that transitioning. Uh, Take it like it was a bet to join a company that did not know would start shaping the future of Indian cooking. That's how it was.
You had some kind of fears when you felt that some of your colleagues are joining Taj, Diop Roy, getting through management training. How was your feeling like stepping in there, and how did you kind of keep yourself motivated?
When everyone was getting selected in Oberoi and Taj, and so when I got selected for Orville Hospitality, it's not a brand that's recalled when it comes to, because at that point there was
Culinary.
no Indian accent. Yeah, so at that point there was no Indian accent, so like they were still on the process of growing. uh, but but the thing is they had an executive training program that
Yes.
paid well, compared to many others. So for me at that point, I also come from a very, I want middle class, but not even upper middle class. I'm like lower middle class family. So I had to take a loan to do my hotel management. So for me,
Oh,
the priorities were very straightforward that I need to start paying it off. So since they were paying well, I was fine to go with the flow, and then we'll figure it out. There was an executive training program, so you're not going through, if it's a kitchen hierarchy, it's not like line cook and all those things, or a commie. You directly start as a kitchen executive, and then you get a junior sous chef level situation. So that was fine. So while I was working at Oldville Hospitality, that was in 2008, Indian Accent started. I think Indian Accent started taking form around 2009 and 10, somewhat around that timeline.
exactly.
Manish Mehrotra, he came from London at that point, and he was building this concept. The space was New Friends Colony, which is a private colony, private residential colony. I was lucky enough that I just lived nearby, not exactly in the same colony, but just few blocks away. and our roommate together at that point, Parminder, was one of the chefs who initially started his career with them. If they had any events or anything as such, since we are in the same company, I was given a bit more priority because of Parminder to come and participate in events and things like that. So I would be a helper at that point. After Old World Hospitality, I moved to Chennai because one of my bosses working in Old World Hospitality, he moved to Chennai. He was opening a new space and he knew me. He wanted me to work with him, and that's how I moved to Chennai. Very different city again, first time in the south, but in Chennai. Um, it was good for a year and a half, but not every restaurant. It did not work out. Basically, let me put it
Understood.
together. Yeah, it did not work out. Different concepts, many things they don't work out. So that was one of the things. And at that point, I think it was Saurabh and Imanshu, two guys who worked at Indian Accent. They were leaving. They finished 3 years with the company, and they wanted to, explore. So there was a vacancy, and that was the vacancy that I was able to take hold of, and that's when I moved to Indian Accent.
You joined in a phase, as you said, it was kind of reaching there, and then you spent 9 years.
We were in that timeline when things were changing, so 9 years went super quick, and there was like Indian Accent was at the number one spot. Where else are you gonna jump in now? You jump in any other restaurant, you're at number two or number three or number four type situation. So that change happened after I moved to New York, because once you come to New York, it's a whole different scene. Restaurants are like again in their own league, and that's when you want to like go and try different restaurants and try to see if you can get a spot to work there, and what the different outlook is. The thing is, like, when you work under Chef Manish, uh, it will happen automatically that your way of looking things will be just the way you worked with how Manish thinks. So now at this point, I think I can say that, oh, I know how Manish thinks, or I know what Manish dishes, because now the taste and his approach, you're very well versed with it. You spent almost a decade with him, so like it becomes a time when you have to go and learn from someone else too. Like I always tell people that if you're joining a restaurant, you need to really give a really strong thoughts to it, because it's not as glorified as it looks. It's glorified, but it's not the way it looks. It's And second thing is that if you're going in your young days, try to go and learn with as many chefs as possible. It's better because you'll have to form your own style of cooking, and just working with different chefs give you a different outlook. I think we were planning on opening Indian Accent in New York. There were plans to open up Indian Accent even in London. I There was a point where I was not interested, and then there was a point where I was like, okay, it's time, because I've been here for a long time. Now I can't grow anywhere else and expect that I'll be growing. The only way out was to go abroad and work at a better restaurant. That was the thing. And I had my conversation with Chef Manish. Is like, are we opening up Indian Acts in New York? Because we knew there were rumors about it. And it was like, if it's not happening, you need to let me know, because like then I'll quit and I'll move somewhere else, abroad. I'll take Dubai or any other place. But like I'm like, I think that was a point where I was like done with Delhi. I needed to have a new space. I needed to see new things, and that's when he said that, like, no, we are opening, and if you're interested, we would want to send you over there. And yeah, there were talks about it, and then we finally had a opportunity to move to New York in 2016. Opening up Indian Accent in New York was also a different challenge. You don't expect, because it was, the back of the house was all from India, the chefs. The front of the house was all white, in a sense, like all Americans. Uh, so very different, and they haven't seen Indian food in that format. So things were new for them, things were new for us, and we were very highly ambitious about it. Um, and since Indian Accent had a good reputation before being there in New York, we were slammed since day one. It's a very different ball game compared. India was much easy.
So tell me, how did you wrap up your journey with Indian accent? How did this new opportunity come your way? If you can take us through.
I started working with Indian accent in 2012. And I opened up. I was there in the opening team at 2016. Then I started running the kitchen by myself from 2017. So before the pandemic, I had already put my resignation in a year back. This is also a funny story. I'd given a resignation, like I had given a year advance resignation.
Which is
It's funny when I say that out because like I just did not want anyone to be in a bad situation, and I just said, right, like, by next year I put my resignation saying like it was great everything. By next year of this month I'll be out. I think as soon as I finished my term with Indian Accent I was supposed to join 11 Madison Park. In that time frame, maybe a couple of days or maybe a few weeks before, this pandemic thing happened and we all shut down. So 11 Madison Park did not happen because they shut down. So the entire restaurant industry in New York shut down. 1 year later, they called me to help me open Indian Accent. I was fine. I was fine with it. Now remember, this is an entire new staffing that I had to do. No one from India was able to come at that point, so I had to hire all local talents. That's super hard. I did open it. 3 months in, after training them and everything, when things are up and running, 3 months in, the second wave of something like that, we had to shut down again. Okay, shut down. The staff that I trained, they quit industry. Like someone's doing Uber and things like that.
of course.
Then I had to reopen it again. So for me, opening, I had to do Indian Accent opening like 3 times. I think at that point I was like done with it. I knew Indian Accent dishes and the whole thought process, and now like that whole thing because you've been there. And I think 6 months and I just put in my resignation again. I said like opening is not a problem, but like I think it's a saturation point that I've reached, and I'm like no longer very much interested in what I'm doing. And that's the time when I got an opportunity to move to DC. Someone called me up, said that there's a restaurant called Punjab Grill. Would you be interested? They're looking for a chef. It was open, but now it's shut, so they're trying to reopen it. The current chef has moved out to Texas. I said, okay, DC is fine. I again, no clue what DC looks like. But I said, like, if things don't work out, I can go back to New York. And it's a 2-hour train ride, so it's fine. Went to DC, it's a whole different ball game. It's a very slow pacing city. Beautiful, but slow. New York can keep you super occupied mentally too. So like once I leave my home, I think I just like a horse, I would just like reach from destination A to B. Nothing in between affects me. Like I don't even have time to see it. DC is slow that you start appreciating everything around you. Oh, the flowers are so good, the building is so beautiful, and all those. Like it's a slow paced city. But yeah, DC was a new opening. Did not again local hiring. Did not have any. Funny enough, in DC restaurant, I did not have any Indians working for me. It's just how the way it was. Like people wanted more money. I'm like, I just have a budget, and I can't afford you in that same sense. So hired Mexican, Hispanic, everywhere, Ecuadorian. So that happened. My sous chef was a guy who was in New York for a long time, super talented. And it was fun working with them. We had a good time opening up that restaurant. It was Punjab Grill, but then we said that we won't be able to go with the brand because that's not my style. I do modern Indian food, not the contemporary Indian. So we changed the name from Punjab Grill to Rania. That transition happened. We opened up that space like in 4 months. New dishes, new plateware type situation, but it was good. I think that was my first gig as a head chef that I had my whole culinary freedom to do what I want to do. Okay, then got an offer from Chicago. I said, okay, New York, and then at least Chicago is more of a metropolitan type situation. This is good, but not compared to Chicago or New York. I said, okay, let's move there then. So 1.5 year there in DC, I put in my resignation. I took a trip to India, and that's when I got a call that, hey, you got a Michelin. Funny enough, we never received that invite to the Michelin. There were some issues or confusion over there. But when they announced the name on the stage, my peers and my chefs were calling out like, "Hey, where are you?" I'm like, "I'm in Delhi." Like, they're calling you up here on the stage. I'm like, "What stage?" He's like, "They're calling you for your Michelin guide. Sorry, Michelin star. You got a 1 star." And I'm like, "Oh, wow! You were joking about it. Did not expect that would happen." But getting a Michelin was exciting, new. Um, I still can't put it in words like what the feeling is, but I think it just gives a confirmation that I think what you're doing is in a
You're in
right.
the right track.
So I guess yeah. So then Chicago happened, and that's I guess Chicago was also like every city has a learning curve. Chicago understood how the city functions. Went there, that the person that I was supposed to work out did not pan out. Went to Alinea, did some 3 days gig, saw what Alinea kitchen looks like, what a 3 Michelin star restaurant functions like. Yeah, but 3 days is good enough for you to understand at least something, 4 different new
Of course.
things. And for me that was like, I think Chicago also helped build my career the way it was.
What I want to know about this transition as well, how does a chef get recognized in the, because everyone is working hard and you would know, like, at every level, everyone tries to work hard, but how do you get yourself recognized for an investor or a promoter or a partner to come to you and say, you know what, we are doing this, would you be a part? So tell me, how did this happen and how did you prepare yourself for this, which
Yeah.
attracted this opportunity for you?
Yeah, that would be a question that I would not be very great at answering, because like this is the thing, like I have been a chef who's always been in the kitchen. Not that I don't like interacting with the guests, but for me it has always been very important that every product, every plate of dish that goes out needs to be in that standard that I've maintained, or like the way I want it. Um, and I've spent a lot of my chunk in the kitchen, not having the guest interaction. Something that I need
Exactly.
to work on, and something that I would advise people to also get out of that situation. Maybe at one point it feels like, oh, it's a good boosting thing. It's not actually, because it's like it cuts off that communication that you need to have with your customers or your future investors. That's the opportunity that you don't want to miss out. Uh,
Exactly.
but I got this call from LinkedIn. I think there is also an important. It's also very important to have your social media presence, or at least
Exactly.
your presence out there in every tool available, because you just never know type situation. So LinkedIn happened. It was a call from a hiring agency in India. They looked at my LinkedIn and they called me out. And at that point, for me, I think it was, I was in a, not impression, I was in a mindset that never say no. Like, let's see, if I say no, okay, it's an opportunity that I won't take. But I would never know, okay, if I take it, what happens. So I would let's say yes and go with it. And that's how it happened. Like, they called out, like, hey, we've seen your resume, you worked at Indian Accent and you've been working at Indian Accent New York. Would you be interested? And I said, yeah, why not? Let me see. I guess that's the thing. It's like, don't say no, go say yes to everything. But I think the whole thing is make a calculative decision after that. People calling you Dubai and everything. Don't just go and get yourself hired. Say yes, I would want to come and see the space, or let me see, talk. It becomes very important to also interview your investors. Very important, because normally when you go as a chef, I think it's all are wo paisa there and hanji that. Don't do that, because it becomes important. If he's interviewing you, you also need to be ready to ask him, like, okay, what's the scope, what's the budget, how much, how many months working capital do you have. And if someone says like, oh, I want to do fine dining Indian restaurant, then you need to understand, like, okay, but do we have money for it? These are some of the learning curves that you need to understand. Okay, any business, if you're going if you're in that level, again, if you're going for a line cook, that's not your problem. If you're going as a head chef, that will really need to be a problem. Like, what your expectation is, what you think that, what's the sale that we are gonna do, what your expectation is like per cover charge. Just basic understanding of knowing your investors better.
Hmm.
Getting a better investor is a very, I would say, very important, but you really need to be lucky to find them. I put it that way, because
Hmm.
Manish Malhotra is Manish, but also because what Rohit has, provided. It's a good partnership. When you find a right partner, you can do wonders. If not, then it's
Exactly.
a shit show. Yeah, that's how it is.
Understood, understood. And second thing that you brought up, we talked about is Michelin star, right? Of course, for our viewers, and since you being on the other side, tell us exactly in a very simple language. What are these levels? How does it change you personally, like as a chef? Personally, how did it change you after you got to know that you've been accredited? And of course, as professional, how people see you, perceive you, respect you. If you can give both the outlines.
Oh, yeah, Michelin star. I think it's a great. Um, I think it's a great space to be. If you know that you got a Michelin star, it just puts you on that a different league. But I also feel it's more mental, because Michelin star is given to you for your restaurant's performance. Unfortunately, it's not something that you can take along with you, and
Hmm.
it's a good thing too, I guess, because the way you earn it, you can lose it super quick. Uh, for the one Michelin, I feel it's more of good cooking with a very good consistency of what you do. Second would be like really takes it a top notch type situation, innovative and all those things, but it's something that you would travel to. It's an ambience, it's what your plateware, glassware, everything counts. Like every small detail counts. The third goes like the whole extraordinary experience, the whole story, the background, how the whole culinary journey comes in, what your experience, how you bring it together, what the guest experience feels like. It's more than just, it starts before you even enter the restaurant. That's what a three Michelin star works at. It starts before you enter the restaurant, and it's always there after you leave. Small details where you're like people. So when we started out with Indian accent, the maitre d', somewhat around the host type situation in India, would she came from a really good restaurant background. So every guest list that we had, she would like search them online and see like, oh, what your favorite thing is, what you like, what you dislike, allergies, aversions. So the thing is like, it's just, suppose you go to a restaurant and people, like, the server knows your allergies, or server know what your birthday is, server knows what your favorite food is like. You really dig deep about a particular guest, so that you can just add more value to the whole customer experience.
Hmm.
Food is a part of it, but a lot of things comes around it. That's how I see it. I've been to a three Michelin star restaurant, my dinner, and like, it was like I can still remember it, because every small details were taken care of. If you like your desserts, your coffee, your all the services, just trying to elevate your experience.
Hmm. Hmm.
With even with food, the whole thing is just not giving. I always tell that in my restaurant, like, giving free food is not the thing to keep people happy.
Exactly.
Understanding what you can take off the check, just to like, okay, like, this is a dessert from us, like, oh, they're not ordering desserts, but you know that they haven't eaten much. Maybe let's try to give this, not trying to sell it, like a dessert from us. Before the check, a little nightcap, like a drink or small grappa or anything as such. So like those small things, they just start adding more value. I think Michelin is all about that. But I sincerely, I would not try to think that this is what you need and then go with it. The whole thing is have that really good customer experience, and things, they just start falling in place. Like, we did not start, or we were not cooking Rania thinking Michelin.
You
We
were
would
joking.
joke about it, but yeah,
You were
we
joking
would
about
joke
it, but
about
it
it, but
happened.
that was not the thing. That was not the perception, like, oh, we need to go for Michelin. That was not the thing how it went. I think once you get one, then you really fall into that trap Or like, I
Exactly.
need the second one. I need to elevate. It's not a wrong drive. But then again, the whole thing is like, I won't say stressful. It's a very committed one.
Exactly.
Like once you get one, you want that second one, and then once you get the second one, you really want the third one. It just puts you. It's a pyramid that starts going smaller. It's like 1 star, 2 star, and the 3 star column just becomes small. Like Tresson Studio, the only 3 Michelin star Indian restaurant in the world. The only one is the most important tagline that you own. That's how it is. So yeah, so like yeah, it's a nice feeling to have. Having one also puts you among that thing, like Michelin. So Michelin has, I'll say it's four, actually five. So Michelin Guide will have restaurants that are mentioned in Michelin Guide. That's one thing. You are a restaurant that Michelin Guide knows you. Okay, that's one. Then there's something called Bib Gourmand. Bib Gourmand is for the restaurant that has value cooking. Now you're already in a guide, you get a Bib Gourmand. And then after that, you have like something called One Michelin. And then it's just like, yeah, the pyramid. Being
Yeah.
mentioned in the Michelin guide is nice because people know you, that you're on the guide. That does not mean that you have a star. You're in the guide. Bib Gourmand is like good cooking. Best of, like not best of, like good work, good job. One is like now excellent cooking starts up. It starts getting up and up. Two is like, oh, the whole experience. Glassware. What type of glassware? The wine service. How the wine was. How it was. So, third is the whole experience when you walked in. Did from how you were taken care since you stepped the door in till the time you leave out. Get the small cookies to take home, and it just keeps on getting better. And that is the thing. It's like with those stars, there also comes an expectation, right? That's how it is. Well, like growing up in restaurants, you know that if you're going to Oberoi and Taj, there is an expectation.
Exactly.
It's a glove service. At that point, it was like, oh, they're gonna do a glove service. Remember the time you were doing in the catering college. So all those things. But when you go to a dhaba, even if the dhaba food is good, you know what you experience. Not that the food was bad. The
Hmm.
experience also counts. No, that's the whole thing. And that's
Hmm.
what 3 Michelin is all about. The
Hmm.
whole entire guest experience. Being at the restaurant that has its own farm and they grow their own produce, to like a restaurant in the city and how they deliver the cocktail program, how it works and everything. It's exciting. Like every Michelin has something to offer. It will be at a different seat.
Really. Hmm.
Yeah. Like you have one of a really good restaurant that I love is Blue Hills. They have a proper whole farm. So biggest advantage that they get is they can stop at a product from any stage from its growing to its peak. Like we
Right.
need fennel this
Of
size
course.
and
Yeah.
this size, only the flower fruit. They have complete advantage on that. And so like that's exciting, like when you look at it. So it's better when you go to a Michelin star restaurant, like read about it. See what the whole perception is. And Michelin star restaurant is about the chef and his cooking. You go empty handed without any thoughts and then you experience what it is and what they have to
Hmm.
offer that situation. Yeah. That's
Understood.
that's
So
Michelin according to me.
now
It
that's
can be
great.
again different.
One thing that came out is, of course, consistency, excellence, and overall to get multiple levels, as you said, to reach. I think it's all about the overall experience and the memory that you kind of take back, not just the food, but the whole experience, I would say.
Yeah.
Thank you for highlighting that. Now, I want to understand. You mentioned you were planned to move to Chicago. Again after Rania, you were supposed to move to Chicago, right, for a
Yeah.
project, and it did not materialize, and that ended up you spending some time in Carino.
Yeah.
Now, as a Michelin level 1 star, Michelin star 1, entering a kitchen where you were working amongst the team, how did they actually knew who you were before you came there, and when they got to know that you were already carrying this legacy, how did they react to you?
So Carinius it's almost like 30 seats, 3 people working in the kitchen. It's an open counter, so the kitchen is what you see, small. Um, So it was three people in the kitchen. That included me, the chef, a guy, and me. Two people in the front of the house. The guy was doing the bar program. The chef, he was funny guy. He did research about me, and then he knew that I had got a Michelin star. But that was it. I you I think getting a Michelin star does not do anything to you. It is like you got a Michelin star, but that's with Rania right now. It's not something that you can carry with.
Carry it.
And yeah, and when you get a Michelin star, I think it more than being like, oh, I have a Michelin star. That does not happen. Now you have to prove it every single time that you deserved it. It's a pressure that builds on. Like it feels like you're being judged with every small thing that you do. How you cut your knife, how you use your knife, what type of knife do you carry, what your cutting skills are, and then how your station is. Are you cleaning it? Are you clean as you go? So I think it becomes more judgmental. Like it's just like, oh, you're a businessman, and now you open up a new business. Now, like if you fail, people will say you got lucky the first time.
Exactly.
That's also the thing. Accomplishment comes with many doubts and people having judgment too. So it's not your duty to justify it, but I think it becomes a duty for yourself to be justified. Like I know my shit better type situation.
So coming back from all this background, and of course, as I understood it now, that it was not purely about increment growth, it was purely about learning because you were just doing aggressively learning new things. So now, how did Passerine happen?
The first thing that I told was like why I love this, what I do, is that the learning never stops. It's always changing. Passion happened because I think the way I said that you always get opportunity, you should always take a call and say yes and see what works. I've always loved New York. Like for me, New York, I love New York because New York is a high stress environment. I guess that's one of the reasons. I guess that's the main reason. It's a high stress environment. It teaches you a lot. It's a culture hotpot. You have everyone from every part of the country in this small city. The city is very experimental. The trends, they come and go super quick. So I wanted to come to New York. I just did not know. I just did not have that right opportunity. I got a call saying that, oh, we are looking to reopen a space, and they wanted me to change the menu. And then I said, like, I don't change the menu because, like, with the food, the environment also needs to change. If it's a modern Indian, you cannot do it in the Taj Mahal concept.
Of course.
So, so that space, the owner was open to reworking the space, and I think in 3 months, I think everyone was really great at what they did. In 3 months, we were able to flip that whole space around, and that's how we created Passerine. Like 3 months in, I was there every single day, from the paint work, woodwork, glassware, plateware, everything. Were the small decisions. We were there to take care, and then we also expressed how we want the space to look like. I'm not very much in the favor of having a restaurant to look like India type thing, because that's not my style. I always have. I've always preferred to have it a bit more warm, but also neutral, and let the food and drink do more of the talking. But the environment should be something that's more comfortable rather than trying to take it to India. Everyone has their way of doing things, or everyone has their approach. Nothing right or wrong. It's just very different. So yeah, so I think I had all this knowledge or this experience from working in Indian accent, opening up Rania, working in Carinos. I just wanted it to bring it together, and that's how we started out with Passerine. It was in a nice location. Everything worked out very well, and yeah, I think that's how the whole thing about Passerine came in. The name Passerine is also something called, we would call it like, Passerine is an order of birds that live in city, like city dwelling birds.
Now, this takes me to the next question. Like, for example, you talk about Michelin star. So, what are the various misconceptions that people have about working in a Michelin level kitchen?
Uh, I guess the money. I guess money would be the big thing that you might think.
Hmm.
Hey, Michelin star, they charge so much money, so
Exactly.
so it must be either you make good or they're making a lot of money, because like look at, no, they're not making a lot of money. The thing is, the products, they cost you a lot of money, because now they're not just buying chicken from a very major big factory. They're buying farm chickens. uh, they take more time to grow, because they're not on antibiotics and all this stuff.
Hmm.
They'll go with like 45 days chicken or maybe 60-day chicken type situation, whereas these chicken, they grow in 2 weeks, the broilers and all. Your products, if they come from farm, if they come from farmers market, they're expensive. Even vegetables are very expensive. Then in a Michelin, not one but two and three, one Michelin star, the food prices don't change much, because it's all about tasty food and consistency. When you go to two and three, that's where the price point starts hitting you up, because and again, not that all one star restaurant is the same, but I'm saying that the price point can be much more better in one star compared to two and three. That's where the price, they really start hitting hard. uh, the prices is more based on everything that you experience, from your glassware, plateware. They're expensive. Many of them are handmade.
Hmm.
They'll come expensive. Your produce that you consume, eat, will come from farmers market or farms or personal farms that the chef knows, or he has a particular liking towards, and he's just getting it only from them and all those things. And then your team, the people who make it, uh, they, from the front to back, these are talented kids, talented chefs, talented, personal working. They spend hours, and that manpower is not cheap. They're trained people that
Hmm.
come from, again, Michelin background or things like that. They're not cheap, and again, they run overtime a lot, because few things, they're not bulk produce. It takes time for things to, something that will take 6 hours to cook will take 6 hours to cook. The chef that is taking care of one product, he will take that whole time that it will take. So his labor cost is also gonna add up. So at the end of the day, restaurants that they don't make money anyway. That's how it is. Then they're not making big margins. You don't make margins with having Michelin star restaurants. You make margins by having what do you call corporate restaurants, that you have
Exactly.
like 10
Hmm.
Punjab Grill or
Hmm.
50 of this and that, all things.
Hmm.
But single restaurants, they don't make that money. But they're there because they know what they want to do. That's how the whole thing is. Two Michelin star, three Michelin star, the product is big part of it. The experience is big part of it. And I think with experience is everything: plateware, glassware, food, the service standards. So it adds up. That this is, as a consumer, if you think about it, as if you're going there as people working in Michelin star restaurant, long working hours, super long working hours, training period. The whole thing is, they will train you, but if you don't pick up, you'll be let go in that same manner super quick, because they don't have time to, they can't babysit. And the expectation is so before pandemic, things were very different, because they were, you had people. Before pandemic is like, you had to apply for Michelin star restaurants, and if you are applying for two Michelin star restaurants, they won't take you if you don't have a one Michelin star background, or two Michelin at least, something like that. And three Michelin, they will take you if you have two Michelin background or three
Hmm.
Michelin star background. From one, you won't be getting hired in three. That was how it was. Now it's a bit more lenient, because there's the demand and supply is different at this point. But before, that was the thing. Like, I would not have been able to go and get a job direct, unless you come from a big proper background. So that's the thing. Now, but also there's an expectation that if you come in, we need you to know the basics, because we're not training you to do this.
Hmm.
We'll show you
Exactly.
one, but
Exactly.
just showing is just learning what the ingredients are. The
Hmm.
techniques is what you should already know, and then you need to start adding value to the, that's how it is. So as an employee, you need to know that it's long working hours. The money is not fancy. You're there for a purpose, and the purpose is learning. And then you move on to other places to learn more type situation. So I think you should have that clarity on that end, like what you're going in for. But you're not going there for money. You're not making money anyway. Because then again, the long working hours.
Exactly.
It's like 12 hours is 12 hours a day is an average working hours in a Michelin star restaurant. It would be 5 days a week, but in US, I think in Europe it's still 6 days. But yeah, 12 hours is an average working time. That's how it is.
Okay.
Both
Okay.
consumer and labor.
Okay. In your career, would you have some professional that you feel have contributed to where you are today? And if you have to call someone and say thank you, who that professional would be?
Yeah, definitely Manish Mehrotra, because I think he was the first stepping stone. Um, um, for a lot of us that worked, me, Parminder, Himanshu, Saurabh, we know what it was and what it meant for him to open that doors to the outside world. And I think he has created that uh, the pathway or the building blocks for what we are doing today. Because without him, we would not have been able to put one and one together type situation. Uh, I think he was the one that made it much more easier for us, because until then the whole thing was, so for me the whole thing when I was growing up in restaurants before Indian accent was, you need to know the recipes, as if it was a test every day, अरे बटर चिकन आता है क्या 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 डालता है, अरे मुझे नहीं पता, फोन देख सकता, अरे फोन नहीं देख सकते type situation. That's what my mind was. But now it's like it's just food, so like chill. But also the whole thing is it just should be tasty. That's the end game. The only purpose of food is nourishment and be taste. That's the whole thing. So it 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 was the unknown made easy by him.
Understood. And in the culinary world, do you look at, I'm sure you are also looking at the market, do you recognize any talent that you see are the future faces of culinary, excellence at this stage? When you kind of look from a bird eye view, do you see some young talent which are aspiring that you see can follow path of Chef Manish Mehrotra or anyone around you?
Oh, that would be a hard one, because like it's not like, oh, I'm a big chef and so many small chefs working under me. But I've worked with many young kids from Indian accent. Someone who started after me, like there's Vignesh, there is Karan Upmanyu, there is Tushar. All these three kids, like really really young, Sandeep. The whole thing is not that. The whole thing is about the curiosity. It's not like who's the best. It's like who's very super curious and all those things. All these kids were super curious, and they had something to prove. The thing is, like, if you find someone talented and very curious, the one thing to remember is they're not gonna be there with you for a long time, because like I think they knew what their bucket holds, and as soon as it fills, they'll fly away because they have new buckets to fill in. That's how it is. So all these kids, they're doing really great, very super experimental, not afraid to make mistakes, but super curious to make mistakes, I would say. Yeah. So I think all these young kids that have worked at Indian accent, they have really outshined. Like, but also it's not something that is surprising, because I've seen it. I've seen them being super curious, and I know that they will do good. The whole thing is like who's taking risks and jumping in, and these all kids, they have jumped in. Like I knew that we would not be the one to have them, because like if you're talented, you're not staying with us. You're not staying with us, but like you're
Hmm.
moving quick. That's how it is. I always tell that you should not. For me, the whole thing is like what I've understood is that you should nurture that habit of letting go. It's not for everyone. Like when you see your talented person leaving, it gets you, at times कि अरे we've taught you so much and now you're leaving. No, it's like it's time. Like I don't have anything to teach you now. You need to move on to learn something, because I'm good enough. Like I'm really good at what I know. Some new kid will come in, I'll teach him again the same thing, and when it's his time, he'll have to move out. So I've always been in that. I've always been an advocate to letting go of people in a good way, where they need to go out and learn more, because like that habit, you maintain a really good relationship with them, and they're very open sharing things with you. Like I have all these kids, I talk to them and they're always like, chef, try this thing that I've learned, and try this and try that, and then it's nice to have exchange ideas with them. So I think that's very important for us. Like I know my chefs that before, yes, resigning was very hard, because they know that your chefs won't be able to handle it.
Mm.
It's as bad as like having a breakup. अरे कैसा छोड़ के चली गई type situation. I'm like, bro, it's a like I need to grow, and I think I've done like what I had to do, and like it's
Of
my
course,
time to move on
it's
with
a
life.
craft.
Yeah, it's a craft, and there's so much to learn. So it's like I think
Exactly.
as a chef, you should always be good at what you do, and always be ready that when people leave, you need to end things in a really good way, that they can come back when they're grown, when they have shined themselves. Come back as a head chef, I guess, and I'll give you some responsibility and things like that.
So, for any young chef who's aspiring to follow your footprints, or like Chef Manish Mehrotra, what is the kind of advice that you want to give them? That is one. Second, when you mention that someone probably wants to try their hands opening a new restaurant, what are the kind of advice that you want to, with all your experience that you had?
Anyone who wants to be a chef, I would always tell them, don't do it. Because like, don't do it, not in the sense like, don't try to be a chef because, oh, you see Ranveer Brar, or you see Vikas Khanna, or you see Manish Mehrotra, anyone on the television, because not everyone who's there makes it. Very important. On television, it's a very different ball game. Television chef is a different ball game than reality chef, because uh, a reality chef, in the sense like in a real kitchen, you're there with your team, with thick and thin, all year around, and it can be stressful. Uh, I would always advise them to do a stage. Stage is like, in India, if you say just go and work in a restaurant, just to understand the basics of it, just to understand, work for a month or work for two before making a career choice. You will see how it is, and then you can make up your mind. Is this actually what you want to do? Start with a good restaurant, work in a bad restaurant, work, see both corners of the coin, so you understand what it is. Be very open with the chef and ask them. I don't know how good it might be, but do ask them what the revenue looks like. Are they making money? Are they not? Or is it just like, oh, you see a guy in white shirt, like really fancy, but like the money is not that great. So like you need to understand that thing and how it works. And then once you really need to be mentally prepared for it. And once you're done, and then you go and work at restaurants to understand. You'll have to figure out what cuisine you want to go in, what style you want to go in. Once you find what your cuisine is, then search for the best restaurants in that cuisine, in your country, city, state, world, what your budget feels like, and go and then start with them, like year, whatever. You might get sponsorship if they are good, or at least you'll get to know what you'll learn more, and then you can start with it. And always have a I think, break your timeline into plans. That would be the advice that I would give myself. Like, break your timeline into plans. Like, okay, 3 years, 1 year in this, 1 year in that, and this is how I'm gonna break my timeline. And then where do I sell 5 years? And if I'm not here, how do I still go on that? How do I continue on the timeline? That's if you want to start be a chef. Changing restaurants is more of a learning curve. The techniques are what you want to learn. The recipes will come in once you know what the techniques are. If you want to open up a restaurant, very important is to know what city that you're trying to open up a restaurant, what cuisine you're trying to open up a restaurant. Do a very, very thorough market research on it. Do you have your clientels? Do a market research, thinking, do they even want a restaurant? What the demographic is like? What money are they making? What budget do they have for a restaurant spending? and are they your right clientele? And then understand what type of restaurant are you going in, like fine dining, casual dining, fast pace, quick service restaurants, what it is, and is this what you actually want to do? Because the whole thing is you're gonna put effort and time and money anyway. It really helps if you're very not motivated, if everything fits in really nice. uh, then start having a business plan on it. A business plan basically is just trying to tell. Business plan is for you and your investors. If you don't have in, if it's you putting the money, don't put your money in. Very important. Always find investors. Put their money in, because you'll need your money anyway somewhere. In Have that business plan on investors. Uh, your business plan should also have financials on it. These are the tough things that you need to make. You just can't be a good chef by cooking. You also need to have that calculated decisions making. Have your financials ready, because on numbers it will make more sense and you can see what the money comes in. So you will come to a calculation that does it even make sense, like how much money am I making? Is this money good enough to open up a restaurant, or am I better just having a salary in at any other place? It also puts your whole business into, uh, I guess, a reality check of what summers look like, what winters look like, and what your clientels around look like. So you'll get a better idea of what your rent is, like what's your budget for the rent. Oh, I can pay $10,000, because if I go at 14, I get, like 4%. It goes almost like 40% increase, and that would kill my this. What your labor cost looks like, what your food cost is gonna be if you charge something like that. So you really have to make those calls, because it's better you have all these numbers in place and as a guideline to open up a restaurant, so that your success rate is better than your failure rate. And not always that opening a restaurant is always a choice. You have you have so many at this point. I think as a chef, yet there are various different ways of making money. Consultation is one. Being a head chef, corporate chef is one. FMCG market is a different one. So like it's a big space out there. So I think you need to understand what space are you interested in and what's your goal like.
Okay, okay. Now you one last question. You talked about investors, right? For someone again at your stage, you are able to relate to investor and of course the experience. But for someone who's young, how do they find investors?
Oh, that is a very tricky question, I guess. That's a tricky question even for me. It's just trying to see that how can you find money in the world. So I think it will come if you're young. It will just come through experience, I guess. You'll have to put your LinkedIn profile. I think keep yourself available out there in the world. LinkedIn, social media, Instagram, Facebook. Put it out there. So anyone who's interested in opening a restaurant or investing in a restaurant can have a sneak peek, at least to see that what you're doing. uh, I don't know, or I can't answer that question, that being young, do you find investors? Because it's too early to know what your experience is like, so the whole thing is like you'll have to gain some experience before opening a restaurant, before knowing what you're doing. So always have a business plan, because you never know when an investor might pitch in, or might be looking for someone to invest somewhere. And always have a habit of having a business plan. I think it's very important that I learned late in life, is that you need to start making a business plan, showing it around, and see how to refine it and how to tune it more. Because I think being ready and being ready is more important than being lucky type situation. Because if you're ready and someone just bumps into you, and you match and the vibe is same, and he has money to invest with you, at least you have a plan to show him, and okay, this is what we were working on before, what city it works in, or where you live it works out well, what money it makes, and how much of sense it makes. Like that's also thing. Like if you have if when you say an investor is also a person who wants to make a money back out of it. he's not just trying to dump his money somewhere. So you need to make those decisions too. Like, is opening up business even make sense in this location, or this is not the right city to do it, or this is not the right concept to do it. But also you have to be very cutthroat honest with it, because uh, the way I say is like, with that honesty you'll get a clear picture rather than just trying to impress yourself. Because
Exactly.
opening a business is not about impressing; it's actually about making money. And then then you can grow and you can have concepts under it. But at least the first business, you should be very mindful that the money that you put in and how quickly the money can come out. Try to keep your costs at low, but not don't compromise on things that cannot be compromised on. So I think, like, all those small decisions, I think it works out well. But yeah, but I guess the whole thing is also about like knowing your investors better, like what the background is. Because with an investor, it can also be, is he a sleeping partner that just wants to put money, or he also wants to engage in the operations. And if he does want to engage in operations, what's his nature about it? How is his situation handling? Does he know anything about restaurant? Does he know what the failure rate looks like, or the things, the ups and downs?
Okay, so overall, to summarize this discussion, and the whole endeavor of this discussion is also to kind of educate a lot of these young budding chefs, hospitality professional. Whatever we discuss is a step also to, in a way, to kind of give back to the art, or let's say the craft that we have all been a part of, and also in a way invest small seeds that you can kind of in a way give back to the society. So thank you for doing this. The idea and the essence, also in speaking in detail in a lot of elements. You talked about excellence, you talked about continuity, you talked about growth, you talked about learning, you talked about investment. So it's all in bits and pieces that we've kind of covered for anyone who wants to kind of understand the game. We will be leaving your details. Anyways, you'll be tagged. So if there's anyone who aspires to follow or to learn or to grow or to understand, can reach out to you. I'm sure you'll be a great mentor to them. So thank you all as well for giving your time and speaking to us in so much of a detail. This really helps. Thank you.
Pleasure is all mine, Shiv.